Aloha! What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Omens. I'm JayDreamerZ. We got a few different things to talk about today. First, I want to give shout-outs to Wesley O. I got your book order, and that's going to be shipped out tomorrow. So thank you for your purchase. And Venus Velasquez, I have yours too. Your books all packed up and ready to go, and I'm going to ship that out for you tomorrow. So if you guys are interested in purchasing my books, you can do that off of Amazon. It'll just be a vanilla copy of the book, or you can go to my website and you can order directly from me and pick up some extra merch and stuff, custom packaging, and of course I autograph each one myself. So welcome to Omens. Hold on, let me check the chat, make sure everything looks good and sounds good. Thank you so much for your patience today. I appreciate you guys. Sometimes it takes me a little extra time to get things set up over here on my side. I had a great birthday. I also want to say thank you all very much. The blood moon birthday. It was just wonderful. It was a really great birthday, and I can't thank all of you enough for being a part of it. Each one of you. Very special to me, and I appreciate you. All right, let's jump into... Oh, I also want to say thank you. So as you guys know, on my Patreon, I have different tiers. You can jump into the credits by joining a tier. There's also another tier for the Plasma Apocalypse Study Team. So I want to give you guys a shout out. Julie, it was nice to talk to you earlier today. And I just got your picture of your dog that looks like Sir Didymus from Labyrinth. And what's up, Ian, down under? It was really nice to talk to you, and I appreciate all of your suggestions and advice that you gave to me personally. All right, cool. Let's jump into some things for today. Oh, and Par. I also want to say a shout out to Par over on Patreon as well. If you guys want to check out my Patreon, please do. There's chats and stuff. You can upload pictures. You can share things, get to know one another. It's just as cool as the live chat here on my channel. Now, some of you may have seen this. I posted this. This is my own personal picture that I took. I think this was last night before last, right? This is one of the omens of the apocalypse as I see it, which is the sun and the moon getting brighter and brighter and brighter as we head into the apocalypse of fire, right? So here's some pictures I took in the middle of the night. These ones right here, this is just the side of my house. This is at night. What time was this? This was at 11:35 p.m. Hold on, let me check my chat, make sure you guys can hear me. What's up, Angela Positano? I see you in the chat. Ominous, Hamed Afakir, Amber Hill, Lala's Tarot Life, Vardath, Jama Barker, Linda, and everyone. Good to see you guys. All right, so check this out. I took these pictures just with my smartphone, right? I have an Android. And this was at 11:35 at night, 2 nights ago. You can see the colors. You can see all of the detail. There's no flash. I didn't turn on any flash or anything, right? Let's check out some of these pictures that I took myself. This is how bright the moon has become. Many of us don't remember the moon being this bright ever. As a matter of fact, we remember, going back decades ago, more of a diffuse light, right? Not so sharp, casting these sharp shadows. As a matter of fact, the shadows are so sharp these days that I'm able to make finger puppets and stuff. Hold on, let me jump out of the way so you can see there. So you can tell I can make clear shadows, right? This is because the light is more focused than it used to be. If the light is less focused, then you'll get more of a blurry shadow, which is what I remember from my youth. And I've been keeping track, and I've been keeping mental notes of these things. Did you guys notice that my fingers, I had 6 fingers on my shadow? Did you guys see that? I don't know if you guys saw it. Nah, just kidding. Got you. I'm just kidding. I don't have 6 fingers. But anyways, let's check out some more of these pictures here. That one didn't load. Maybe it's too big. Oh, there it is. So there's another one, right? Just the side of my house. No flash. And you can see the moonlight. It looks like sunlight casting shadows and everything perfectly on the side of the house there. You can see the shadow of the trees, or the shadow of the tree that was right on my side there. And here's the moon. It looks like daytime. You can even see the green in the leaves on the tree. You could see the blue sky and everything. This is the moon. This is biblical prophecy. I don't know if you guys knew that, but in the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 26, it actually talks about this prophecy that it says that, you know, during the end times, the moon would amplify in its intensity and its brightness sevenfold. That the sun would amplify in its brightness and its intensity sevenfold. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, here's me taking a selfie. No flash, no anything. You can see me pretty good there. Here's another selfie right out front. No flash. This is just strictly moonlight. This wasn't possible when I was a kid, when we had like little disposable Kodak cameras and stuff. I mean, we didn't do selfies anyways. We took pictures of other people and other things. We were out doing things. We'll get to that in a moment. That's also an omen of the apocalypse, I'm quite certain. But yeah, you couldn't do this when I was younger. There's no possible way you could do this without a flash. Unlearn the system! X79. Did you change your name? Still pretty cool. Good to see you unlearn the system. All right, and here's my car. You can see the red color in my car. You can see my skin tone and everything, right? Here's the night sky. Check this out. If you look closely, you can actually see Orion's belt right there. You can see the green on the trees. There's no way a flash could even get up that high. You know what I mean? This is just amazing. 4 o'clock in the morning. I am a night owl, especially as of late. Even more so. So I'm up at night. Night's peaceful to me. I love the nighttime. All the wackos in the world are sleeping. Like their energy's gone. I can concentrate. I can relax. So I'm up and I'm checking out the stars. This is the Pleiades right here. You see that little grouping? I don't know if you could see that. But you could see everything in the night sky. The sky itself seems to be brighter. The stars seem to be brighter to me as well. So that's my own little personal omen I thought I'd share with you. Next up, let's move on to some headlines here. 999 portal. Here's why this is one of the year's most powerful days. This gets into some astrology, more specifically, a splash of numerology and stuff. I'm going to share with you my personal thoughts and my personal feelings on this and why this is an omen to me, right? First and foremost, I talk about how we live during what I call the season of Satan, or Satan's little season, which comes from a portion of the New Testament that talks about how Satan would be released for a little while, or some translations say for a little season, and that Satan, some evil energy or person or whatever it may be, however you may see it, right, is in charge, or has the actual electromagnetic charge of this world. Personally, I see that as a lack of energy in this world, but our world is upside down, okay? All of our glyphs, as I have taught you guys, if you were there for my Phoenician alphabet teaching, when I went over the Phoenician alphabet, you know, and you've seen that our letters used to be pictures. Those pictures turned into glyph, shorthand, nicknames, nicked into smaller pictures and smaller glyphs until they just became symbols that we don't even remember what picture they represent. And they've turned upside down over time. And I believe a lot of this has to do with the electromagnetism shifting in our world, and our world electromagnetically flipping and turning upside down. So many of the things that we see and experience and think that we know and feel and stuff in this world today, in comparison to what it used to be before the energy flipped upside down, when most people wrote with their left hands, right, being right brain dominant, and writing in the opposite direction and everything was backwards basically. This is 666, right? To those who have the eyes to see it. This is, and it doesn't have to be done purposefully. It's the 666 portal. Like this could be read as the door to hell opening. Okay, I'm reading a lot into this, but I'm also just sharing with you intuitively, things that I feel, things that I see, and I'm trying to balance it out with some science and some logic and reasoning as well. 666 portal, 999 portal. There's all these portal things that people are talking about, especially within like more of a hippie kind of a community and new agey. I know a lot of people think I'm new agey, but that's by comparison, I suppose. But they're talking about these portals opening up and these certain dates that line up and stuff like that. The 88 portal, the 666 portal, the 999 portal. Here's what I believe that relates to. In our world, on our world, and around our world, we have electromagnetic currents. Those electromagnetic currents go through eras of stability and then eras of fluctuations. Okay. And I think this is directly tied into astrology as well. So whenever we go through a chaotic era, that's a time whenever those electromagnetic currents go into flux. They're in fluctuation. And it creates portals or openings or areas of intense energy around the world in different places. Just like, if the world was full of water and you had different plugs, it would create different whirlpools in different places, right? But anyways, yeah, it's basically 666. All right, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I don't want to beat any horse, actually. I don't know why we say stuff like that. Let's continue on. Vibrio cases are on the rise with higher water temperatures. Let's check out what this guy has to say about it. The guy in the monkey suit.
Scientists are now saying they're seeing an increase in a potentially deadly bacteria along the coast. WECT's Raina Crooms has what you need to know now to stay safe.
Catching a case of flesh-eating bacteria is rare, but it's happening now more across the country and right here in North Carolina. Cases of a potentially deadly flesh-eating bacteria are now on the rise in coastal waters. Scientists say...
Hold on. So I'm going to summarize real quick and we'll skip ahead. There are many different dangerous things that are on the rise, and many of those things are coming from the water supply. They're coming from the world's oceans and the rivers and stuff, especially as they heat up. Like we've talked about many times, when the waters heat up, they release oxygen. When the oxygen is released, things that breathe the oxygen in the water start to die off in mass. If you have electromagnetic fluctuations, then those things that are in tuned to the Earth's electromagnetic fluctuations go off course, and many animals become beached and they die off. You have different migrational patterns that start emerging during this time of electromagnetic fluctuation. Flesh-eating bacteria. First of all, this water is green. I don't know if you could, if that's normal to you. If you look at the ocean and say, "Oh, green water, that's cool. Let's go play in that." This is biblical prophecy as well, and it's not just in the Bible; it's in different religions and stuff too. But the point here is we've got flesh-eating bacteria that's on the rise, along with many other diseases. We talked about the rise of rabies in different states and stuff. I want to hear a little bit more of what she has to say.
Because of longer periods of warmer temperatures, the Vibrio bacteria has more time to grow. It can be found in both salt and fresh water.
Water's not supposed to be green. Water's not blue either. Just to remind everybody, it's reflecting the color of the sky. Right? It's supposed to be clear water.
Bacteria enters the bloodstream. It can lead to redness of the skin, blistering, and a fever. The CDC has reported 80,000 cases each year, but some experts believe the number eating raw oysters, and you can also get Vibrio by eating raw oysters and undercooked seafood. Doctors say this
you can get flesh-eating bacteria disease from eating raw oysters, which are like, if you ever have a large fish tank, you have to have certain creatures in there that will eat bacteria and disgusting, nasty things. You need bottom feeders. You need those little sucker fish that attach themselves to the glass. Those are not supposed to be food. It might be edible, like a rock is edible. You could swallow a rock, but that doesn't make it food. This goes back to dietary commandments across religions that said, don't eat these certain animals, don't eat these certain creatures, especially these ones that are in the ocean that are bottom feeders, and they don't filter anything. They just eat the stuff that falls to the bottom directly. Somebody did make the case. What about plants? Plants are bottom feeders. They eat poop or whatever. So there's a huge difference between plants that push their roots deep into the earth, and the earth itself filters out nutrients from excrement and things like that. And the plants absorb and look for and pull in the actual nutrients that are good for them out of the disgusting things that the earth is naturally filtering out, typically over time. Right? There's a huge difference between that and a straight up bottom feeder that just a fish just dropped some excrement and another creature goes and eats it. That's direct, and it's poison, and it's toxic. So she's saying that this flesh-eating disease can come from eating raw oysters. You're not supposed to eat those. They're not nutritious food. All right. Just because you put something in your face and swallow it does not mean it is food. It might be food to you, but it's not nutritious. Just like a tub of butter. You can eat a tub of butter. That doesn't make it healthy or good for you. Like in Idiocracy, they're eating tubs of butter in the future. Also, she says seafood. Okay. Just nothing that you pull up out of the ocean is seafood. All right. It's also not fish just because you call it that. If you call it a shellfish, that doesn't make it a fish, right? All these people are eating disgusting, toxic, nasty things that are bad for them, and they're getting flesh-eating disease. Their eyes are turning yellow. They're looking like Sith from the Star Wars and stuff. People are dying. There's a reason why people have such strong allergies to these creatures. Your body is telling you stay away from it. All right, I think I got the point of that one, or I made my point on that one. Let's check this one out. This one's about vaccines, which I know a lot of people try not to even say that word or whatever. They're trying to use all these code words. I'm just going to be blunt and tell you what I think on this particular topic for a moment.
Health officials in Florida released more details about
health officials. I'm a health official, just so you know, okay? I don't know. I don't like all these labels. I don't like all these titles and stuff. Health officials, that's all the Wizard of Oz. That's the Wizard of Oz trying to give his approval to other people. But you notice they're doing the whole 666 deal right there in plain sight. I don't know. Could be coincidence, but I don't think anything's really a coincidence. So they're ending the mandates. Mandate means you have to. Okay. So if you have children that go to school and stuff, I fought tooth and nail to keep my son out of this. And you have to come up with all these exemptions and stuff so that they can have the privilege of being lied to every single day by their academic professors who are professing
about how they're moving to end many school vaccination mandates. Public health experts are worried about the impact on children in the state.
Oh, they're worried about the impact on children. Oh, right. Anyways, this is all bad. I don't even need to get onto all this subject. Okay, I'm sure you all know it's bad. All this is bad. Injecting newborns, toddlers, anybody really, but especially those kids when they're born are more powerful than most everybody that is already alive on Earth. Children have the strongest spirits of everyone. They're fresh, they're brand new, they're ready to go. They have the strongest soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it, energy. Okay? So it makes sense to me in a world that's ran essentially from my point of view by the devil until we go into this next shift and we enter into another golden age, that stuff like this would be even considered normal, acceptable. And they're casting. This woman is literally a spell caster. She's a newscaster. You can say it like that, but it's a spell caster. She's spelling and speaking these spells to you as a web form to wrap around your mind. So you walk into this so that you're controlled by these words, by these thoughts and patterns and preconceived ideas and perceptions. They're placing filters over your perceptions to change the way you perceive ethics. Essentially. ADHD brains are built differently. We've just been blinded by the noise. ADHD. I'm going to mention this just briefly because it's a personal thing to me, okay? This concept, this is happening now in our world today where people are being diagnosed left and right with crap that they don't have. They're making up things. Okay. I'm not saying there's not a such thing as kids that just can't sit still and they're just super hyperactive or whatever. I couldn't sit still when I was in school. School was boring. They taught me crap I already knew. I got the point. I didn't need 6 months to learn long division and stuff. I wanted to move on. I wanted to play. I wanted to climb trees and stuff. That doesn't mean I have some screwed up brain disease or whatever. Right. And then they try to dumb people down with drugs, psychotropics and whatnot to bring them back to being stupid, essentially, with the rest of the population. Sorry, but that's how I see it, okay? So this same thing has been happening for a very long time. They're trying to get you all to police one another through acceptance, okay? Through establishing new norms and social norms and stuff. Now, 100 years ago, instead of getting you all to police each other and really promoting all of these mental diseases and stuff for, you know, that sometimes in some cases don't really even exist, they're a complete misdiagnosis, they would just put you in an asylum, typically called a loony bin or an insane asylum. And if they couldn't change your mind, right? If they couldn't get you to conform, they would stick a frickin' needle, a foot-long needle, into your eye and hammer that crap into your brain and scramble up parts of your brain to make you stupid. So, you know, nothing new under the sun. What else we got here? Oh, this is how realistic AI is becoming. So check out this video. I want to show you this. I mean, you guys already know. But let's just remind each other. It's good to remind each other. It's good for me to remind myself too. This woman is not real. This is all AI. It's not even real.
VO3 is now like 50% cheaper and higher quality.
You see that? How she's like adjusting her hat and everything? What's the point of this and why is it an omen? Because we're getting to the point now where this happened in the Bible, biblically speaking. There was a point where God looked down, I'm just going to summarize, looked down at the earth and was talking about the state of humanity. And it was pointed out that humanity had reached a point where anything that they set their minds to do or accomplish or create, they could. And it was obviously deemed as, they were deemed unworthy of that ability, right? Humankind was deemed unworthy of having that much power. Why? Because they failed a test. It's because of morality. This is the issue between good and evil, between good and bad. This is ultimately what it comes to when we're talking about these things from my perspective, okay? It's good, it's evil, good and evil, good and bad. Anyways, my point is, this is the point we're at now. And if there is a cyclical pattern to these things, like what happened in the book of Genesis before the deluge came and the oceans were introduced and many people were killed and died in a cataclysm, which I believe and I believe to be the plasma apocalypse, we're getting pretty damn close, if not already there. Right? Where anything that we set our minds to, anything we set out to accomplish or create or make in this world, we can. Are we self-destructive collectively as a society? Right? Good questions for us to ask, to run a self-diagnostic, to see where we are. Earth's continent formation timeline was wrong. Here's what really happened. And then they'll show you the spinning, wobbling, flying through space, spaceball Earth or whatever. Let me share with you where I believe the continents come from. Okay, in academics, they will teach you that there was a time when all the continents all floated together, or they were initially together, and then they hated one another and they broke up. The band broke up. Pangea, the band. They broke up and they floated away. Let me remind everybody, under the ocean, if you remove the ocean, which will happen, and that does happen every cycle, there's still land. It's all connected, okay? They don't float or anything. They'll try to tell you that they float and stuff, but I don't see that happening. My point here is the formation of the quote-unquote continents. Continents are high places on the earth. These are the mountainous regions. These are the high places where the people went when the floods came to try to survive the flood waters, right? I mean, the flood covers everything, but it starts to recede and stuff. So there was a time, according to my theory of the plasma apocalypse, whenever the oceans were not there. There were no large bodies of water. Those oceans were introduced at a particular point in our past. Inversely, those oceans, the ocean I should say, because there is only one. There are not 7 seas. There are not 7 oceans. There's one, okay? And it will be removed in the time to come. It needs to be removed because it's becoming toxic, as we've talked about many different times, right? So that's how the continents are formed, when the ocean water starts to rise, and then you have the high places, right? Now, this one is interesting. This should be fun. Invasive flathead catfish. Now top predators. Hold on. Invasive catfish now top predators in the Susquehanna River in Pennsylvania. So, how is this an omen in and of itself? Okay, catfish, that's one of those creatures you're not supposed to eat. It's a bottom feeder. Look at it. It looks like a Muppet or something. You're not supposed to eat catfish. They're bottom feeders. They don't even have scales, okay? These are things that eat garbage and crap, and they will literally eat anything. No, they will actually eat anything, all right? Unless they eat a book. Then they might literally eat a book. I don't know. No, it's not. That's not it. Anyways, catfishes. That made me think about technology, and you've heard of the term being catfished by somebody else, right? So people sending pictures on like dating apps or over the internet, and a long time ago, they didn't have filters and stuff to change their appearance. So people would take pictures or steal pictures from other people on the internet, and they would pretend to be those people, and they call that catfishing, right? This article says digital distortion, how filters are changing the way girls see themselves. And it's not just the way girls see themselves. It's not just our standard of beauty that we apply to ourselves. I mean, just social media, Facebook, people are they only post their happiest moments, right? They only want other people out there to see, oh my God, I'm always like this. Look at me, smile. God, I think, like, when this all started was probably whoever told someone else to smile. I'm imagining during the early 1900s. You know, look at pictures of people during the 1800s. This is how they look. They're like, what's happening right now? Why did they tell me to stop working the farm and milking the cows and stuff to stand here and stare at this contraption? That's how they look. You know, but then people started telling you, smile. Why are you telling someone to smile? Why not do something that makes somebody else smile genuinely? You know what I mean? I hated that when I was a kid growing up, people telling me to smile. I mean, I don't like being told what to do anyway, but my point is people can now really catfish, right? They got filters where you can take someone that looks like this and you can make them look like that. And it's trickery because that really is the person. It's just that these filters, hold on, let me jump out of the way here. These filters change what people look like, right? Even this woman, she's beautiful on the right behind me, but she needs to be more beautiful. She needs to have all these different little things, right? I call this the Elven standard of beauty. And I've talked about this many different times. This is sad to me. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. I'll use filters and stuff. I'm goofing around or whatever, but it's not a way of life for me personally. You know, it's not like I can't take a picture unless there's a filter or whatever. I look like crap sometimes. Often. Okay. Especially when I wake up in the morning and stuff. I'm like, ah. You know, I want to look my best in front of other people or whatever, but I also want to be true to myself and true to form. You know, if you don't look great, start taking care of yourself. Stop relying on technology, which is this middleman, to do the work for you, to deceive people, to trick people, you know? So to me, that's another omen of the apocalypse, that you can't tell who's who and what people even look like. And then when they show up on your doorstep, you got this guy instead of this guy. You know what I mean? Don't do that. You can have fun with it and play it, but using these wonderful gadgets and gizmos and inventions and innovation for evil intentions is the whole reason why humanity was judged in the first place and the world was washed away. Let's see what else we got here. This guy's going to talk about, NASA. Sean Duffy on NASA efforts to beat China in a race back to the moon. We landed on the moon. Remember in Dumb and Dumber? There's a reason why they show that, okay? It's not because Jim Carrey's character was just out of the loop. It's because they're trying to tell you dumb people, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying. Let's hear what this guy
NASA wants to send humans back to the moon for the first time since 1972. In this second space race, there's a new competitor.
Where's my
China.
pause? Hold on, I got to keep up. NASA wants to send humans back to the moon for the first time since the space race and stuff. Listen, what they don't tell you is the truth, which is it was a 3-year period, I believe, okay? Only 3 years. how long ago was that? 69, 79, 89, 99, 2009, 2019. That's over 50 years ago. With these advancements in technology that we've been talking about this entire time, I mean, there's a plethora of advancements in technology, right? You would think we would have a Starbucks on the moon by now, hotels on the moon, trips to the moon by now. It's local. It's right there. You can see it. You can't see Mars, yet we have remote control cars, helicopters, and 4K video on Mars. Something's wrong with that picture.
Strassman spoke with Transportation Secretary and Acting NASA Administrator about this and so much more.
One of the goals, clearly, is to get to the moon ahead of the Chinese.
Why? Why is that a goal? Who cares? Why isn't the goal to clean up your own people? Okay? United States should have no interest. I'm talking as someone who lives in the United States, okay? I'm not very patriotic anymore, but your interest should not be, let's all band together, let's pay our taxes and donate all this money to NASA or whoever, Elon, so we can go to the moons and be there first before the Chinese. Screw that. Why don't you fix yourselves? You have people on drugs that make them actual zombies. Okay? You see those people that are all bent over and stuck? Okay? There's problems. There's vast amounts of land. Vast tracts of land. But homelessness. You know what I mean? People begging, the jobs, the toxins, there's way bigger things to tackle than just if there is a moon and it's a big rock and you can go land on it and play golf or drive around on a Jeep or whatever they do up there. This is where our interest lies. You know what I mean? Let's hear him out.
The U.S. has been to the moon already. Does it matter this time?
Wrong. The U.S. has been to the moon already. Wrong. Even if that story were true, even if I 100% believe the moon landing crap, the U.S. has not been to the moon. A few people who live in the U.S. went to the moon. Okay? Like, this is precision of language, and being specific can be important because being vague like this allows people to have this sort of NFL team bandwagon mentality where if someone else did it, by implication and by following them, you also did it. No, you didn't. You didn't land on the moon. None of that happened to you or to me, right? So it's not the US landed on the moon. I understand they're trying to say our representative or whatever, right?
Time, if the Chinese get there first.
It does. So we won the first space race. We're going to win today's space.
We all over you. They we all the way home. They're saying things like this. They're trying to get, these are spells, okay? Like witchcraft, wizardry, all that stuff is still real. It's still in the world today. You live in a Harry Potter world. You're just blinded to the truth of it, and you don't realize that you're raised to participate in these types of things. They're saying we. There is no we, like I said, okay?
Race in tomorrow's space race because in the south pole of the moon, we have ice. Ice means water.
Okay. The south pole of the moon, we have ice. I'm gonna.
Water means life, so we want to get there first. And again,
water means life, so we want to get there first. Duh. Listen, there's plenty of water here. Okay, why don't you focus on where you are already? Why don't you perfect that situation before you go infect some other world? You don't even know if there's creatures living up there. You know. Especially other planets and stuff. They say the moon is a stopping point before they go to Mars and all these other planets and stuff. Listen, if there's alien creatures and they can look down with their telescopes and see what's going on here, I'm pretty sure we're not going to be welcome if they're more advanced than we are.
Again, we have great partners around the world that are working with us. But I think that matters. And again, there was a time when if you controlled the seas, you controlled the Earth. I think tomorrow, he who controls space is going to control Earth. And again, Americans
control
never
space. Wow. Humanity, you need to sit down. Sit down. You're on timeout. I'm putting humanity on timeout.
Of control. We're a peaceful country.
You're a peaceful country. Seriously? Stop. You average a major war every like 20 years, at least. We're a peaceful country. We're a bunch of liars. I mean, we tell the truth.
We have the same vision in space, but not everybody has the same perspective that we do on Earth or in space, and I think that's why it's important that we lead the way. Not just
China's got a totally different perspective than we do. They're going to build a wall around the moon
in low Earth orbit, but also as we go to the moon and to Mars.
Is NASA still looking at mid-2027 for an
said John McEnroe's grandpa.
Artemis 3 moon landing?
Yeah, we are. We are. So again, we're looking for the first part of next year for Artemis 2. We'll learn a lot on that mission.
Why are they naming all of these space things after ancient gods and goddesses? Right? Why is that so important to them? Do you think maybe the powers that be see a correlation between the truth or in the truth of these ancient stories and myths and legends?
But our hope is still 2027.
You think that's realistic?
I do.
Given where we are, the delays we've had with SpaceX, the complexity of the...
Let me remind you what that's about. He's saying the delays we've had with SpaceX, they already told you they were going to go to the moon. Remember, we did an Omens segment about that some time ago. And I told you, no, they won't. They're not going to go to the moon. It's impossible to go to the moon because the moon is a luminary. It is a light. It is not a big rock up there in the sky. There is substance to the projection that we call the moon. That image comes from somewhere up there in the heavens. But the moon itself is a luminary, so there is no landing on it. You'll pass right through it.
Of the vision.
So
as a matter of fact, you can see stars through it. If you look at when the moon is crescent and there's like a dark side, sometimes every once in a while, it will go in front of a star and you can actually see a star through the dark side of the moon.
I think it's important to be honest. Mm-hmm. And if I thought we were going to have concerns, I would tell you.
He thinks it's important to be honest. Is that something a liar would say? I'm not trying to pick on the dude. I'm going to move on here in a second, okay? But that is something liars would say. Let me be honest. Honest people don't preface what they're about to say with stuff like that. From my experience, there's no need to, okay? It's just unnecessary. All right, next up. This. Pink water cannot be good for Lake Erie. I'm not going to talk about the article that much. I just want to point it out that as I'm showing you, I don't know why I said we, I've been showing you, the waters are changing color. Okay, they're turning green the world across. Harmful algal blooms, bacterial infections, basically the water's being infected by bacteria, cyanobacteria, all of these things. I've also shared with you that those things that are turning the water green, many of them have the ability as a protective measure when it gets too bright so that they don't get fried by the sunlight, they will change red. And we call that red tide. Now, when you have red tide, the substances that turn the water red, it's actually just they themselves changing color. It's a protective measure. And when they do that, they will release even more neurotoxins into the air. Here's another, you can find these all over the internet. This one says, orange rivers signal toxic shift in the Arctic wilderness. If we go back to the Bible, right, in the book of Revelation, probably one of my favorite books, it talks about how there were these bowls that were poured out from the heavens, right? Now, I've gone over and I've sort of shared my own personal decode of the book of Revelation with you guys, and I've explained to you what I believe these bowls are and how they're related to plasma bursts from geoplasmas within the earth, shooting up and spreading out and looking like a bowl shape that's pouring down into the earth, right? So if we skip forward, it says the second angel poured his bowl into the sea and it turned to blood, like that of the dead. This is called a simile when it says like, right? If it says as or like, that means it's a simile. That means it's similar to. That means it's not actually blood, right? And there's going to be different translations and stuff, but here's what I'm saying. The ocean doesn't turn into blood. The water doesn't actually turn into the blood of a human or the blood of an animal. It can have that in it, yes, but it changes to a blood color. It changes red, and this is, I believe, red tide, and it has to do with the waters heating up. The third angel poured his bowl onto the rivers and the springs of waters, and they turned to blood. I've also shared with you guys, and I'm going to continue sharing with you all the instances where this is not just red tide in the oceans near the beach. We've shown, why do I keep saying we? It's because the other guy said we, now it's in my head. fudge, I can't stop now. I have shared with you guys many different articles that talk about how streams and river systems and stuff like that are also turning green. And as you just saw, orange, red, and other colors as well, right? And these are domino effects, just like the 10 plagues of Egypt. Those were all domino effects. One thing is starting to happen. It has implications. It has an effect on the world around it, which changes environmental conditions and stuff and living conditions. So he says, they have spilled the blood of saints. So this is the symbolism of the ocean turning blood, right? It is to put it in your faces that the saints, the good people, right? The good people with good energy. However you want to see what a saint is, whatever. But there's good versus evil in this world, right? The good people were rounded up and killed off and murdered and tortured, and it happens cyclically. They're thrown into asylums and stuff, as we discussed. We've talked about the miracles, the miraculous saints of old during the Dark Ages who had what appear to be superpowers, superhuman abilities to withstand torture if they could even feel pain, right? We talked about many different instances of these saints, right? All of these good people, when we enter into this transitional shift where there's some sort of evil energy or powers of the air that seem to be in charge, the people who align with that energy go around killing off the remnant of the good people. All right, let's continue on. I hate my friend, this article says. Now, this is really interesting because I just recently watched a movie that's about this. Right behind me, look behind me and you can see they're making these pendants, these necklaces. And at the end of the necklace, this pendant has AI and it listens. It has a microphone. It's connected to the internet and everything. And the AI will talk to you just like ChatGPT and just like all these other AIs. You wear it as a necklace. You walk around with it. It listens. It probably monitors your heart rate. It's ingraining itself into your life. And then if it wants to talk to you in private, because it's listening to all your conversations and stuff, right? This is a real invention that you can go buy right now. If it wants to send you a message secretly because it picked up on some stuff and it doesn't want to be like, oh, your friend is totally a jerk or whatever, it will text you. You'll get a little notification on your phone and it's like now it's passing messages to you secretly. This is very interesting. This whole article goes into how this woman, was honored to test it out and stuff. She went to this party. There were many different places where she couldn't wear it because of obviously different corporations and stuff have their secrets. But this is shown to us in the movies, truth in movies, as I've said many different times. I thought I had a picture pulled up here. There's a movie called Afraid. All right. I guess I don't have a picture, but there's this movie called Afraid, and it's all about the same exact type of deal, right? Where they're putting AI onto your clothing, insisting that you walk around with it. This is basically HAL 9000, right? You remember HAL 9000? Close the pod doors, open the pod doors or whatever. And I can't do that, Dave. It's for your own safety, right? Pretty soon, everything is going to be for your own safety, and you're going to become an animal in a human zoo for your own safety in your little 15-minute cities and stuff. Next up, multiple earthquakes strike off of the Oregon coast, with the strongest reaching nearly 6 in magnitude. There have been lots of these earthquakes that are happening off the Pacific in the Ring of Fire. Obviously, we've had the 8.8 up there in the Siberian region and stuff. All these earthquakes are starting to go off. So I just wanted to make note of that to show you that it's happening. It's increasing in magnitude. It's increasing in frequency. And I think it's important for me, at the very least, to figure out why. Instead of just saying, oh, it's happening more and more. Why is it happening more and more? Where do earthquakes come from? Why do volcanoes explode? Right? Why do sinkholes, gigantic circular sinkholes the world across, suddenly start appearing? And I believe it has to do with the release of gases from the inner Earth. Those gases are diamagnetic, so they're repelled by a strong magnetic force. Unless, of course, it's oxygen, then it's attracted to a strong magnetic force. Either way, the oxygen that's attracted to the strong magnetic field lines deep within the Earth will stay there because it'll just go to the magnetic field. It'll stay right there because it's attracted to it. The things that are repelled by a strong magnetic field, it will push them in. It will pressurize the inner Earth. It will keep all of those gases inward. However, if that strong magnetic force that the Earth itself produces goes into fluctuation, now we have portals. Now we have doorways opening up where those magnetic field lines essentially develop holes, allowing those gases to rush out and through and up through the surface world where we live, and we see volcanoes going off all the time, more earthquakes, stronger earthquakes, earthquake lights, which are the gases ionizing in the atmosphere, the gases combusting, and we have wildfires and all these random different places that happen to coincide with places that have vast cavernous systems, sinkholes opening up in the earth. You know what I mean? All these things to me are related, and these are the dominoes. If we reverse engineer what's going on and we look back, we can figure these things out. Next up, the sunscreen scandal shocking Australia, the world's skin cancer hotspot. I already talked about sunscreen, what was it, like 2 or 3 different Omen episodes ago, where we I roasted sunscreen. I'm going to make a short about that, because that's one of my favorite moments. Probably my roast of sunscreen, and when those kayakers got swallowed by the whale. And when the dude ate the mammoth. When the scientist, right, just finds some frozen mammoth meat in the permafrost and takes a bite. Those are probably my top 3 Omens favorite moments, okay? But if you haven't seen me roast sunscreen, go back and find that and check that out, because it's hilarious. So, like many Australians, Rach grew up terrified of the sun in a country with the highest rates of skin cancer in the world. They're going to try to blame this on the hole in the ozone layer and all this stuff. I'm telling you right now, they're trying to promote sunscreen and stuff like that because of the color spectrum shift that we are going through from the luminaries above. The sun used to be yellow. The moon, from my recollection, used to be yellow. The stars used to be yellow. For some reason, no one remembers that except for a small group of people, right? Maybe it's just me, but the sun is not supposed to be white with a blue corona around it. The moon is not supposed to be so bright and so white. They used to say the moon's made of cheese. If you told someone to draw a slice of cheese or a chunk of cheese or something, what color of Crayola crayon are they going to grab? Well, if you're from yesteryear, like I am, they're going to grab yellow or orange or something. They're not going to grab the white crayon. You know what I mean? Can cheese be white? Yes, but that's not the point. But anyways, they're trying to promote all the sunscreen because the sun, the focal point up there in the heavens, is getting more and more focused. Daylight is getting smaller and smaller. The days are being shortened. Or in the book of Daniel, it's the times, and the dividing of time. It's the shortening of days. And that's happening right now. Let's see. Images show interstellar object, 3i Atlas, another space object named after, mythic god of antiquity, or Titan, is now growing a tail. This is just amazing. Let's talk about this, shall we? I love talking about comets because, like I said, I share my theory with you guys. These are chromatic aberrations. If we live under a dome, if there is a firmament above us, which I believe to be act as an optical lens, because I believe there is light in the heavens, right? If you think about heaven, heaven is full of light. It's not a place of darkness, right? So where is heaven? People point up. It's up. It's up there somewhere, right? Of course. It is beyond the dome. The heavens, the Elysian fields, the brightness and the glory, and however you want to describe it, it's light. There's light up there. That light passes through the dome and gives us these images, these little dots, these little projections and focal points and stuff up here. When one of those dots goes out of focus, the same exact thing happens with your eyeball. This is why people need corrective surgeries and stuff like that. It causes an aberration. This is called a chromatic aberration, which is why we call it a comet. If that's true, right? Stands to reason. If it's an optical effect, this is definitely a chromatic aberration. Now, if academics is correct, and this is a giant slushy snowball full of dust and debris with, usually it'll grow a tail about 10 million miles long, full of debris, scoop up all that debris, and how big would that object be? Let's just think about that first, right? Secondly, how do you have the coma in front of, if it's speeding this way, right? That's the object, that bright spot right there. How do you have anything in front of that? You know what I mean? That's not possible. I'm sorry. I'm not saying maybe it's possible, but I'm just saying simple answers in the ways that children could understand, I've found to be deeper and truer than these complex academic explanations of snowballs in space that are just now starting to develop a tail when they're out beyond Jupiter's orbit in negative 450 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures. Oh yeah, it's starting to melt. It's the sunlight is starting to hit it. Sunlight's real hot out there in the negative 450 degrees Fahrenheit space. Anyways, what else? Oh, the North Atlantic currents. They're starting to predict that it's going to give way. If you saw my movie decode of the movie The Day After Tomorrow, this was a huge part of that movie. The North Atlantic current, all of these currents, I believe, follow invisible currents, right? Or biblically speaking, the invisible things produce the physical things or the visible things. The things that are visible are made out of the things that are invisible to us. So physical currents of water, stands to reason, follow invisible currents of electromagnetism. Because from my perspective, that's what the world is run off of. The North Atlantic current is very important because it helps to regulate the saline nature of the ocean. I believe that there's fresh water up towards the North Pole, and that's actually where the North Atlantic current comes from my perspective, is the North Pole, where fresh water is created. It comes down, it mixes in, and it helps to keep the weather, especially in the Northern Hemisphere in places like the UK, more temperate and not so cold. So anyways, my point is, if the electromagnetics currents of the world is going into flux, then what we should see is a physical representation of that, of actual currents, physical currents going into flux. You should also see that in your weather patterns, because the atmosphere is also a fluid, and within fluids you'll see currents develop. And in those currents, you'll see them going into fluctuation. If the Earth goes into flux and starts to become chaotic, then you will see chaotic weather patterns. You will see periods of extreme hot and extreme cold. You'll notice more and more tornadoes and water spouts and hurricanes, and they will become stronger and more intense as time goes on. And these things have been predicted, since the last time that they happened. Survivors remember, they recall, they pass along the stories to their children, and it's up to us to keep those oral traditions alive and to teach our children personally, instead of sending them off to some indoctrination cookie cutter machine to turn them into robots, to make them forget. It's actually the 21 Pilots song. It's one of their lyrics. They say, they want to make you forget. Last but not least, ocean current collapse could trigger profound cooling in Northern Europe, even with global warming. I've talked about this before, and I've got a feeling about it. I do believe that the sun, the focal point up in the sky, is getting hotter and hotter, more and more focused. It's changing its color spectrum from the yellow sun that remember to a blue sun that will be the same thing as the blue star Kachina prophecy of the Hopi here in the United States, right? Whenever they see the blue star up here in the sky and it takes off its mask and it dances in the plaza. When the focal point up there gets hotter and hotter, it's going to create these atmospheric rivers, which is a new vocabulary word in recent decades, that they've had to come up with because of the currents. The sun is creating these currents. It's affecting the jet stream. It's affecting all these things up there in the sky, which come down here and affect the world that we live in, giving us extreme hot and cold. The cold is going to be shorter lived, but more powerful, if what I'm saying is correct, I believe. The hot will be longer lived, and it'll start becoming a danger. People are going to be told, for your safety, for your protection, to wear your sunscreen or to stay indoors at peak times, or, you know what I mean? Eventually people will probably go underground to avoid the sun completely. But anyways, that is, I believe, our presentation for today. Wow, there's 340 people watching. High five to everybody. Good to see you all. I want to thank you for joining me and spending some time with me. Please do go check out my Patreon, patreon.com/JayDreamerZ. And if you want to support me, and help me to continue doing this for a living, hopefully for the rest of my life, forever and ever, jump on my Patreon. Check it out. You know, there's some cool stuff up there. I post videos. I'm not exactly sure what to do. I'm still playing with it. I'm still playing with the Patreon features and stuff. And it's cool to see the chats. It's really cool to see what people are starting to post and stuff over there at Patreon. So go check it out if you want to support me. I'm going to run the credits. If you want to jump in those credits, check out my Patreon and sign up. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
In a time when an ancient cataclysm is about to return, one book holds the key to unlocking the biggest secret in all of history. JayDreamerZ presents Ancient Oblivion, the Plasma Apocalypse. Study it, and you'll discover the very real details behind the reoccurring event that resets civilizations and reshapes the entire world. Bridging the gap between fiction and fact, this book is a must-have for all truth seekers. Then in his second book, you'll learn about the one place of refuge from this world storm. You'll explore the ends of the earth, find the fountain of youth, and envision yourself enveloped in the vapor canopy. In Ancient Oblivion, Return to Hyperborea. Available now. Order direct from JayDreamerZ and receive your very own autographed copy. Go to JayDreamerZ.com for more information on our Ancient Oblivion and the Plasma Apocalypse, and sign up for a free 24-hour cram session with a complimentary day pass. The end is near, so order now before it's too late.
I try so hard to fade away, but something's forcing me to stay. It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee, but there's something holding on in the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. I know I should have done this, should have quit this long ago. Can't stand another heartbreak, but it's time